Hello, everyone, and welcome to We've Got Books. This is Ann Green broadcasting from North Texas, where the skies are big and bright. My colleagues, Lana Newman-Cruzy and Jim Yarbrough, and I happily invite you to join us here at We've Got Books, where we feature a large variety of genres to intrigue, entertain, and stimulate your imagination. Stay tuned because we definitely have a book for you. Say hi, partners.
Hello, I'm Lana Newman-Cruzy.
And I'm James Yarbrough.
And incidentally, you can find all the books mentioned on We've Got Books at Amazon.com. And now, Lana Newman-Cruzy is ready to interview our colleague, Jim Yarbrough, about one of his humor short story books, No Laughing Matter. Grab your favorite refreshment, sit back, and enjoy this amazing journey into the literary world. Take it away, Lana.
Welcome back to We've Got Books, Jim. You've got another of your humor short story collections for us to hear about today, right?
Yes, Lana, I do. It's entitled No Laughing Matter. It includes 10 humor short stories, and I have to say it's one of my personal favorites that I've written.
Well, I love the title. I like it already. Oh, good. I can't wait. So what is this book that's one of your favorites?
Well, it's one of my favorites because I had particular fun writing it. The stories tend to be ones that introduce a situation and imply to the reader that the plot is going in one direction when presto, it goes in another one. So I like to put together funny stories that entertain readers by catching them by surprise.
For those listeners who haven't met those great main characters in your humor short stories, can you give them and us a quick summary?
I sure can, thank you. My humor stories focus on the psychology practice of Dr. Greg Chambers and his office assistant, Carol Kramer. Greg and Carol are both Christians, but that's where the similarity between them ends. Greg is studious, analytical, sophisticated, and considers himself in control. But Carol is emotional, plain-spoken, focuses on the practical, and was raised on the farm. Greg tries hard to bring his faith to bear to help his patients and always thinks he's working to their benefit. But sometimes he's a little too proud of his abilities. Carol, on the other hand, scoffs a lot at the advice Greg gives and proudly gives her own down-home point of view. The result is a madcap practice dealing with all sorts of patients and weird problems.
Well, I know everybody's interested already. So, Jim, how about reading some excerpts from some of your stories in No Laughing Matter?
Well, I'm happy to, Lana. Thanks a lot. This first excerpt is from the short story entitled Together. This excerpt is from the story's beginning, and this is Dr. Greg Chambers musing to himself. I smiled as I considered them. Chad and Marie, first graduates of my 8-week pre-marriage counseling class and now married for a month. Back in for their 1,000-mile routine checkup, so to speak. How proud of them I was. Marie is petite and pretty as a meadow flower. Chad is strong and dependable as an oak. What wonderful secrets they were learning about each other and themselves as they forged the lifelong and unbreakable bond of Christian marriage. I crossed my legs and flapped my legal pad on my knee. So tell me, how great is it? Marie's eyes danced between the window to my right and the ceiling fan, her lips quivering. Fine. I could feel my smile deflating. Chad glanced to Marie, then down to the floor. Paris. Wow, Paris was crowded, busy, the busiest city I've ever seen. Weather was perfect. Warm days and mild and cool nights. Marie extended arms in front, clenching and twisting dainty hands. There were so many things to see. Chad brightened. See? Oh, yes. Eiffel Tower, Notre Dame Cathedral, the Louvre, Versailles. We took a trip on the Seine. Oh, yes, that was fun. Marie brightened for a second, but then the young lady's large, round eyes moistened and angled down. Gloom polluted their fake upbeat demeanors. What was going on with these two? I glanced across the room to Carol, who nestled in the lime wingback in the forest green pantsuit she wore on Wednesdays. My assistant elevated her thick black eyebrows as far as she could stretch them up her forehead. Yep, we shared a suspicion, all right. I scratched my scalp. So we had scheduled an appointment for 2 months after you came back from your honeymoon. But you're here 4 days after returning. Can you tell us why? Chad cleared his throat. Well, Dr. Chambers, Marie is a wonderful wife, but as her husband, I need to understand her better. The fact is, Dr. Chambers, I think my notions of doing certain things have taken Chad by surprise. Marie scowled. We're just not comfortable with each other doing certain personal things that are really important in marriage, you know? Chad scratched the knee of his khaki slacks. Boy, did I. And you did the right thing coming in to see us now. Best to address an issue like this as soon as possible. You're wonderful people that God has brought together, and we want to help you be as loving, as close. What Dr. Chambers means is we want you to be comfortable with one another as befits a young married couple. Carol smiled warmly as she leaned toward the two on the couch. I nodded. Right. So before we begin, would you excuse us for just a moment? I unfolded out of my office chair and motioned for Carol to join me in the hall. I shuffled out the door and turned right, dragging down to the bunker, Carol's office. I shut the door when my assistant entered. Well, this is pretty clear. They've got some physical problems to work out between them. I think, what a surprise you believe that, Greg. With your tongue-tied blubbering, we want you to be as loving, as close. Carol's face crinkled like a prune. What else would you think? How simple she was. Carol, I've been practicing psychology 22 years. Believe me, I've seen a lot of this kind of awkwardness among young married couples. Here's what we do. You take Marie into the spare office, get her to talk, to loosen up. I'll do the same with Chad. Then after half an hour or so, we can meet back in my office and ask them to simply and clearly state their respective opinions to each other. Greg, I don't think, I strode out of the bunker and down the hall, Carol clued to my heels. Greg, listen. I turned into my office. Marie and Chad, here's what Carol and I want you to do. Well, that's the end of the excerpt.
Oh, okay, Jim. You had me worried for a minute. I could see where this story could go in different directions. The story is going to have a clean ending, right? No R-rated stuff.
Oh, yes, absolutely. But this is a story of misunderstandings and double meanings and Greg-Carol conflict. But that's all in a day's work in this crazy psychology practice of theirs.
And crazy is right. Now, how about another story, Jim?
Okay, this next short story is entitled Something Old. And this story starts out with Greg and Carol having a few minutes to spare before the next patient arrives. And Carol mentions she's taken up coin collecting. Then Greg gets really curious. The excerpt I'll read starts out with Carol replying to Greg. Listen, Greg, to answer your nosy questions, how? Always been interested in coins, I've been, so I did some internet trolling. My collection's up to 18 coins now. Where do I do it? Bought them all except one at the Greenville Coin Exchange on Main Street. And who would I buy them from? Well, that's where it pays to have a family member with expert knowledge and connections. This was turning into a longer diversion than I thought. Mr. Simon would be here in 5 minutes. You never mentioned one of your family members was a numismatist. I didn't say that. All my family are Pentecostal. Okay. No, I meant a coin expert. One of your cousins, maybe? Carol smiled like she'd just won a game show grand sweepstakes. I'm very proud of him. He's so interested and informed in all this now. It's so pleasing to see him applying himself. Of course, I'm talking about Herman, my brother. I must have stared at her like she had rocketed in from Uranus. Greg? She folded back into her chair. You okay? Your brother Herman, who spends all day on Saturdays at the grocery store to gorge on free food samples at those little card tables? And how did his lost pet detective service work out? I don't, because the last I heard, one of Herman's clients had filed a complaint. You know, that Herman had grabbed a chihuahua from the animal shelter and tried to pass it off as the owner's lost schnauzer? What was he thinking by spray painting and pasting whiskers on that little dog? Carol smiled. Sweet Herman, he found this 1874 silver dollar all on his own and saved it for me before it ever got to the store. He sold it to me for a special price. I hated to ask, how much would that be? $100, Carol? That's a lot of money. I hope this coin is really as valuable as you say. She rose slowly from her chair and ferried a file folder on the desktop to the gray filing cabinet. It was $100, right? The back of Carol's dress swished as she yanked on the drawer of the cabinet. That's right, 100. Her voice dropped to a whisper, plus 900 more. $1,000? She twirled around to face me, a scowl disturbing the ivory flesh of her bulbous face. Greg, you just don't understand the complicated world of exotic coin collecting. End of excerpt. So Greg decides to fix this problem Carol has with her coins, as he sees it anyway, and the something old story goes on from there.
So, Jim, I guess we could say Greg gets his 2 cents worth about Carol's coins, huh?
That's good, Lana. That's very good. Maybe you can ghostwrite my next humor short story for me.
Thanks. I'll get back to you on that. Okay, Jim, now, one last story.
Okay, one last short story I'll highlight in my book, No Laughing Matter, is entitled On Another Note. In this story, a world-famous opera singer named Elena sees Greg about a problem she has. This short excerpt just gives you a taste of the story and begins as Elena, Greg, and Carol are sitting down for their discussion, and Greg starts the conversation. I found my office chair, and Carol plopped in the wingback opposite. Well, Elena, could you give us an overview of the issue that you want to discuss? Yes, I am an operatic singer. I was educated at Juilliard, the Escola Superior de Música de Catalunya in Barcelona, and at the Franco-American Vocal Academy in Paris. For almost 20 years, I have sung professionally with many orchestras throughout the world, including London, Mexico City, Berlin, Los Angeles, Hong Kong, and La Scala in Milan. I mention all that to describe the depth of my experience and dedication to my craft. Carol leaned. Ever sung at the most famous of them all? For some reason, Carol's voice had a heavy nasal quality just now. Elena twisted on the cushion. I beg your pardon? The Opry, the Grand Ole Opry in Nashville. Carol's deep dark eyes searched the patient. See, I thought, there was a reason to take a music appreciation class.
Carol and the Grand Ole Opry. Perfect. I love it. Thanks, Jim, for those excerpts. Now, can you tell listeners where they can find your books?
Thanks, Lana. Sure. Again, this book's entitled No Laughing Matter, and you can find it and all the rest of my books at Amazon Books. Please search on my author name, James Yarbrough. And Yarbrough is spelled Yarbrough. You can buy Kindle, paperback, or audio versions. You can also visit my website, www.jamesYarbroughAuthor.com, and see my books featured there and sign up for my free newsletter. I'd love to have listeners on my newsletter email list.
Thank you, Lana and Jim, for a wonderful interview. Once again, our time has flown by, so we must bid farewell from deep in the heart of Texas, and hope you've enjoyed your time with us as much as we've enjoyed having you. Join us next week when we interview a guest author, well-known Christian author, Annie Mulligan. I'm Ann Green with Lana Newman-Cruzy and Jim Yarbrough saying goodbye for now, and read a good book to keep those brain cells active. And we hope you'll choose one of our remarkable books from We've Got Books. See you next time. Remember, keep exploring the world through reading.